your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with just a trio of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eat teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Both and Zach kicking it cooler than 3 until Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some Birds with Friends. The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Both and Zach coming at you with stats and things flapping their wings.
Statistics, they can be like bathing suits. What they, what.
Finish it up. Sometimes you gotta take them off. What the hell?
What they show is revealing, but what they conceal is vital, right? So,
hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends Thursday afternoon, following the Eagles' hottest and longest practice of the summer thus far. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Marissa Dunn, here to talk about it all. Marissa, looks like you are back home. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And I have to start the show with this because it was just so awesome. My mom was at the Jersey Shore yesterday, and she was walking down to the water, and she says, oh, that guy has a Birds with Friends shirt on. So she went up and said, hi, you listen to Birds with Friends? I'm the producer's mom. My daughter produces the show, something along those lines. So she was very excited to meet a loyal listener down at the Jersey Shore. And the guy was like,
Marissa?
Yes, he told her congratulations on the wedding.
Nice.
So, yes, very awesome. Shout out to Brian Baker. So, really awesome. Yeah. Love the Depop community getting to meet my mom at the beach.
Seeing a Birds with Friends shirt in the wild is really a lot of fun.
Yes. Yep, exactly. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Zach, how you doing? How many showers deep are we today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for this podcast. I've had 2 showers, the morning and when I got back from practice. And I do want to apologize. I feel it is important to do it
culpa?
In front of our audience here, and because it was rude the last episode when you were making a point. I listened back, and I understand that the trade occurred, and I got text messages. Nonetheless, it's rude to be talking to somebody. Have you ever been at a bar and someone's in conversation and like someone else is looking over, like they're looking over your shoulder because someone more important they think is behind you? Well,
yes.
The Phillies text there that
I didn't take it as it was more important. It was just funny.
I agree, but the bottom line is you deserved my attention, and I'm sorry
that's okay.
That.
Yeah, no,
I think you were looking ahead to the bigger trade later that day. I think you were knew something was coming. It was
No, I got worried the Eagles did something. That's exactly what happened.
I don't think it was anything that you need to apologize for, but it was very funny that you said, I know you were talking about Devontae Smith. Not talking about Devontae.
Yeah, when I listened back to the show, I was like, that's not good. But anyway,
did you then think that when you re-listened, did you think that it was a trenchant point that I made, that it was really, in-depth analysis that you missed out on?
I thought it was a good point that you made. As I said, you observed practice well, right?
That's me.
And Hurts
the practice observer and the takesman.
Hurts and A.J. Brown are important parts of this team, right? So that was a good point. That was a worthy discussion. Anyways, There was a big practice today, longest one of the summer, hottest one of the summer, so a lot to discuss today.
Little Quactus report that we will get to. I guess we could also spend some time if there's anything we need to say about the Jason Kelce story that is up on the website.
An incredible story. You guys did such a good job. Shout out to both of you. Major flex.
Nice it's not false modesty to
obviously,
say.
Obviously
Bo,
on your radar as an offensive line story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo was the anchor for that story. That was a big chunk of that.
Well, we must be getting some negative comments if you're gonna keep playing that card. They would distance yourself from the story.
I'm not. No, trust me. I want to take more credit for that story, right? And from reader response from the comments, it's gone over as well as I expected.
Well, I think we can talk about it now before we get to the Quactus report. I think one of the fun things about it was just getting these guys to talk, and I think it's a testament to Kelce how excited and how willing and eager they were to talk about him. The best example of that to me was Halapoulivaati Vaitai, who we were in the locker room with for 3 or 4 years, and a very nice guy, a bit of a gentle giant, but not the most verbose locker room interview, and I get him on the phone to talk about Jason Kelce, and he's honking for like 15 minutes uninterrupted. I ask one question and he goes on this soliloquy, like pouring his heart out about this guy. So I thought that was kind of fun.
On the phone, did you call him Halapulavati or did you call him Big V?
I of course said Halapulavati. That's the lesson I learned from you, and I take that and move forward with it.
Good. Yeah, no, so I had a similar reaction to that story. What jumped out to me is that like who he is when you hear him talk is who he is at all times. Like you hear him sometimes be angry. You hear him sometimes like be really into the game. You hear him sometimes like defend his teammates, be a loyal teammate. And the quote that we had at the top of the section, which he said last year, where he said like the locker room and the cafeteria are the reasons why he keeps playing. All the stuff in the first section about how smart he is as a player. Like I thought we did a really good job hammering that home. And, you know, the example of Vaitai gave about the blitz in the Giants game, that's great examples. But the behind the scenes, the parts that we don't see about the type of teammate that he is, like the type of friend he is, and Marissa can attest to this. Like these guys spend so much time with each other. Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce, who have been teammates together since 2013. Just imagine like the amount of meetings they've sat in, times in the locker room they sat together. And the O-line, I assume most of our listeners have never been in the Eagles locker room. The O-line is together in the back corner of the locker room. It's just a row of offensive linemen. Outside of 3 Chip Kelly years, when Chip Kelly had the whole team scattered, the offensive line has been together. So those guys are with each other 12 hours a day often.
It's kind of a good example of like just a dumb thing that Chip did just to do something. Like you don't need to split up the offensive lineman.
I like it because, an offensive lineman can be next to a wide
I like
receiver.
the idea of it, but like for a position like that, it makes sense. Like let's keep these guys together. Yeah, we don't need to keep talking about it.
Great
keep
job.
gazzing ourselves up, and I don't want to make
Everyone
too much
should
of it.
check
But
it out
it was a fun story to do.
And I just want to say this too.
I meant to say to your point. Sorry, to what you were just saying. Like who he is who he is. I think that's it's the same thing that like Zach Ertz talked about. Like what resonates with Philadelphia is just being your authentic self. Yep. And I think that plays out for him as well. Sorry, go ahead. So
there was a comment, and I actually saw a few comments like this when we posted the story on Twitter, where people were saying, "Oh, I want to read this, but it costs money." We always ask you to subscribe, but I can say if you just click on the link and you don't subscribe, you can subscribe today for $1 a month. I personally think I would never tell someone how to spend their money.
I didn't even know we had that deal.
But I think that's a good way to, for $1 to read that story. And then I promise you thereafter, we will give you your money's worth every month.
If it's $1.
Well, even if it's more than $1, I like our content and across the board. Like I think The Athletic is a terrific product for our customers.
I agree, but I mean, as far as what we can promise, I think we can deliver $1, but I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. You guys do great work.
Okay. All right. Let's talk. let's get into the Quactus report here, Zach. And I think we should do just a news update. We don't have to do the song. Okay. Well, before we get to the Quactus report, why don't we? Wait. That's right. I'm sorry. We've got we have to send it over now. We have breaking news from the NovaCare Complex via the Philadelphia suburbs. We send it now to Zach Berman, the Stone Cold Newsman.
Some notable injuries at the NovaCare Complex today. Left tackles Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard, both out of practice with concussions. The concussions were sustained during Tuesday's practice. Also, Devontae Smith out with a groin injury. Nick Sirianni says the Eagles know how important Smith is to the organization and are being cautious with him. Mac McCain with a knee injury, Greg Ward with a toe injury, and Grant Calcaterra with a hamstring injury. Those injuries we knew about, those players continue to be sidelined. Zach Pascal practiced today on a limited basis. Good seeing number 3 out there, of course, as we have covered, probably more in depth than we needed. He had an illness. He had food poisoning, and that sidelined him for a week. And then I think the biggest news in football yesterday, the news that stunned the football world, that had everyone talking, all the national shows discussing this. Richard Rodgers passed his physical, activated off the PUP list, and back in an Eagles uniform, eligible to practice. So Richard Rodgers out there for the Eagles. Back to you at the desk.
I actually don't think that he was out there today. He wasn't practicing, right?
No, but he was eligible to practice. Yeah. No, I believe he was out there. I don't think he was practicing, but he was out there. He was with the, he wasn't out on the side.
But he wasn't practicing. Big stuff, Dick Rod. You think he's going to make the team?
Oh, I don't think he's going to make the 53. I think he's going to be on the practice squad, and they can activate him if they need to. I can't imagine they guarantee that salary, right?
Neither can I, but where there's a Dick Rod, there's a way.
And the tight end position, with Calcaterra back, I think they probably like the Dallas Goedert, Jack Stoll, and Grant Calcaterra. It was nice talking to Jack Stoll today. Jack Stoll and Cam Jurgens, longtime friends. They went to Nebraska together. Stoll was there when Jurgens visited, and Stoll thought Jurgens was coming to college with him. And Jurgens was like 15 years old at the time. He's like, man, this guy's a big guy. They are currently looking for a place to live together in the Philadelphia area. So This could be like the new Avonte Maddox and Dallas Goedert.
I would imagine that Cam is going to be paying a little bit more of his share of the rent than Jack Stoll. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay. Anything else that you learned from Jack Stoll? I wasn't in on that interview.
But we don't need to fill this up with Jack Stoll info. I try to take like a certain nugget from every interview that I am involved in, right? So,
okay, what was your nugget from? Who else spoke today?
Well, I was actually talking.
It was a light media day.
Yeah, it was a light media day, and I was talking to a team employee during one of the interviews. Someone I needed to catch up with. So I
Jeffrey.
Not Jeffrey, somebody else. But
Julie.
So I was not involved in the TJ Edwards nor the Kyron Johnson press conferences. But look forward to speaking. Yes, Kyron. Okay. You say tomato, I say tomato.
Well, no, I mean it's his name.
No, it is. It is.
There is a correct.
It is Kyron. I understand.
By the way, what did you make of? Yeah, somebody just asked about this in the comments. What did you make of Jason Baboon's comment on the incident that's in the Jason Kelce story?
I thought it was like an interesting defense. He's like,
it's not even a defense. He's not disputing
what happened. This happened, but Kelce didn't run around looking at the fight. Kelce ran and told Andy Reid, and it was washable paint. Those were his arguments.
The fact that it's washable paint doesn't change it. I guess that it was described as spray paint by somebody not one of us. But
by the way, Ash, don't say ZB's Kelce story. It was Bo and Zach's Kelce story. Yes.
All right. You know what? We got 2 breaks to get to. So this is a natural break point. So let's take our first break here, and then we'll come back and get into what happened on the field today at practice. Trade coffee. You've heard me talk about it before. And we're not talking about the coffee that Howie Roseman is sipping on draft night when he trades for A.J. Brown, or in the dog days of August when he trades Ryan Bates for Eli Harold. We're talking about trade coffee, which connects customers to the freshest and best tasting coffee they've ever made at home by partnering with the country's best craft roasters. These are independent businesses from big cities and itty-bitty towns. Trade customers are truly impactful for these independent roasters, often being the largest source of new growth for them. There's also the Trade First Match Guarantee. Trade is so confident that they will match you right the first time that if they don't, they will take your feedback, and an actual coffee expert will work with you to send a brand new bag for free, gratis, no cost. That's how confident they are. That's a big trade. Now listen, whether your friends call you a coffee snob or you just know it when coffee tastes really perfect, Trade's real coffee experts personally taste test over 450 roasts so they know exactly what to recommend for you. Trade has delivered over 5 million bags of fresh coffee with more than 750,000 positive reviews. And the good news for you is right now, Trade is offering new subscribers a total of 30 bones off your first order, plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/BWF. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. So get started by taking our quiz at drinktrade.com/BWF and let Trade find you a coffee that you'll love. That's drinktrade.com/BWF for $30 off. And don't forget, week 1 of the season's coming up. A Trade subscription is the perfect gift for the football lover in your life. Go Trade. I know we got some listeners who are busy people, whether that means you're juggling kids and work, or it means you've got your own stuff going on, work is dragging you down, you just don't feel like making dinner. It's hard figuring out what to do for dinner 7 nights a week. Are you kidding me? That's nuts. Well, that's where Freshly comes in. Take a load off. Let them do the work for you. With Freshly, you're not stuck with fast food chains or frozen dinners when you want a quick meal. Freshly provides delicious, effortless, balanced meals without having to sacrifice your summer moments. Other meal delivery options make you do all the work of prepping and cooking. Freshly, they ain't like that. Freshly comes ready to heat and eat in 3 minutes or less. Heat and eat! That's neat! Sweet. Designed by nutritionists, prepared by chefs, then delivered right to your door. That's the Freshly deal. Freshly has delicious, fresh, healthy meals, and getting the food you love is incredibly easy. Not only that, this is not going to set you back too much. Freshly is affordable and convenient. Skip the grocery shopping and the dirty dishes. Your meals arrive cooked and fresh every week, and now you can try Freshly with $125 off across your first 5 orders. Make summer dinners stress-free with Freshly. Right now, you can get $125 off your first 5 orders at freshly.com/birds. That's $125 off at freshly.com/birds. All right, back on Birds with Friends. Bo Wulf, Marissa Dunn, Zach Berman. Let's get to the Quactus report. Zach, I think this will probably not surprise you. The contrarian in me coming out. I've seen a lot of talk that today was like a dominant day for the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't necessarily feel that way. I thought, now there was, because of the injuries you stated before, Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard down. That meant that LaRaven Clark was the first team left tackle. He has been primarily the third team right tackle so far in camp, and he was getting killed all day. No doubt about it. Jalen Hurts saw more pressure today than he has seen all camp long. Josh Sweat had a sack. Derek Barnett had a sack. Patrick Johnson had a sack. And so things were like, there were times when it was tough sledding for the offense. But I thought that like Jalen Hurts acquitted himself well. He didn't turn the ball over. He took some checkdowns when he needed to. I mean, there was a lot of running. It's hard to there were runs where it was tough to decide how many yards there were or whatever. But also there was a one-on-one, there was a team drill in the red zone where they scored consecutive touchdowns, like 1st and 10 from the 15 or whatever. He hits A.J. Brown, who beats Darius Slay for a touchdown down the middle of the field. He then takes a smart second read check down to Boston Scott that might have been a touchdown, and then Marcus Epps actually hit him pretty hard. Scott went down, but then got up. I didn't think that the offense was bad today. The defense made some plays. The pass rush was definitely there. There were even times where the pass rush got there quickly. Jalen Hurts, scrambled and ran for what would have been an easy first down, like a very typical Jalen Hurts play in the face of pressure. I thought it was fine.
Well, I thought the pass rush was really good today, and
it was.
Yeah,
LaRaven Clark was getting smoked, but
yeah, that to me was
given those limitations, and given there was no Devontae Smith today, they were fine.
Yeah, that was the story of the day to me. Like I've tried holding back on tweeting practice observations because we're giving thorough ones on The Athletic, right? I want you to read the ones that we have, but I was compelled during practice to put out there that this is the best the pass rush has looked all summer. And of course, having a third string left tackle would contribute to that. But I thought, like, for a team that was near the bottom of the NFL in sacks last year, that made it an offseason priority to improve the pass rush, they were living in the backfield today, and they did a really good job. And I'll say too, the coverage was also strong, right? I mean, I think that if I had to say who has been like the best player in training camp so far, I would say James Bradbury's up there, right? Like James Bradbury is playing really well.
You got
my
toasted by Jalen Reagor twice in one-on-ones.
Yes, I understand that. But look, I mean, if you're watching the 11 on 11s, the team drills,
he's been good.
He's been really good. And it's not just coverage; he's getting his hands on balls. He's doing a good job. So I think that the pass rush and the coverage was really good today, and that's why I thought the defense won the day. I do agree. Jalen Hurts was efficient. He did what he needed to do. He did not turn the ball over. But if you were scoring this, you'd say the defense won.
Sure, but if you think about it in the context of if you went into a game having to start LaRaven Clark at left tackle and playing with Jalen Reagor on the field instead of Devontae Smith, like the offense looked like what you would probably expect it to look like. They were able to get the ball to A.J. Brown like basically whenever they wanted. A.J. Brown, this was like maybe his best day of camp, I think. He scored a touchdown in the back of the end zone in 7-on-7s. He was pretty much having his way with Darius Slay throughout the day, except for one rep in the short red zone. But like, I don't know, it was fine. You would have to like adjust your expectations if that were the case. And I thought they were fine. But you're right. I mean, you would also, on the flip side, if you were going into a game against a team that had to start LaRaven Clark, you would think to yourself, all right, the pass rush better get home in this game. And they did, even your boy Derek Barnett and Patrick Johnson getting in on the fun.
But to use that logic, if the Eagles were playing in a game and the opposing pass rush was in Jalen Hurts' face all game, we wouldn't say, well, it's okay because they had their third string left tackle. No, like you'd still say the story of the game is the quarterback was getting beat up, right? I mean, Jalen Hurts was lucky he was wearing a red jersey today, because if he wasn't, he'd be on the ground quite a bit.
Well, and it's a good reminder that the Eagles are fortunate to have the offensive line that they do have. Yes. I mean, this is their third string, and probably like if it were a game situation, they would probably move things there. Like, I don't think that LaRaven Clark is going to make the team, so this is not really the kind of thing that they would have to worry about. They would figure something else out.
Well, who would it have been, right? Like let's say this happens during a Jordan Mailata gets down with a concussion.
Now, do you think, as somebody
Andre Dillard goes
in the chat, do you think that like Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard did one of those things where they just ran at each other full head of steam from opposite sides of the hallway and went? They thought they were trying to go back to last year when they had a head-to-head competition.
It's fun. Like, I don't want to say funny. Concussions are a serious thing, but concussions are an injury that you don't usually see this time of year, right? And
with the Guardian helmets, I mean, and
Nick Sirianni made the point that offensive linemen and defensive linemen are having a collision every play. But if you think about concussions, usually you're getting them when there's kind of more brunt contact, right? As opposed to,
I wonder if there's like because they don't know. Neither of them. Sirianni said neither of them knows when it happened. But I wonder if there's like a guy on the defensive line who's responsible, who's particularly headstrong at going at the head, like a guy who wasn't here last year, like, I don't know, Marvin Wilson or something is the concussion maker.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to make light of it at all. But because concussions are serious, but I was thinking back to the, Chris Long was on a podcast with, Chris Long has a podcast. He had Steve Belichick on his podcast this summer, and I was Bo was sticking his tongue out here for our audio listeners. And they were talking about how Bill Belichick throws players out of practice if they get in fights during training camp practices, during joint practices. And I think Shield has made this point in the past. Chris Long said like him and Kyle were joking that we should just get in a fight now and, get thrown out of practice so we don't have to do this. I don't think Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard wanted to miss practice today. But if there was any practice where you would want to miss, it was probably this one, right? So
I suppose that's true.
Yes.
Where were we? That there was something pre that diatribe that
we were talking about the pass rush. You were saying it was an amazing day for the offense. And
I was talking about Devontae Smith.
Even though everyone who is evaluating practice today thought the defense won, the Athletics football notes are going to say this was like the greatest show on turf today from the offense.
What were you going to say, Marissa?
No, nothing. I was just laughing. There was a question about how you think both units compared to last year at this time.
Good question.
That was an interesting one.
Go ahead.
No, you first.
No, you first.
I thought the offense
was sponsor here, so I think they're here. They want to hear what you have to say.
I thought the offense was really bad last summer. There were times last summer where I was like, this is going to be a tough year for these guys, right? I mean, I had concerns about the quarterback. I had concerns about the wide receivers. I didn't know what the team was going to look like. And so I remember saying, I think this defense is going to be good. And the defense actually turned out to be worse than I expected. But it was probably because the offense played poorly during training camp, right? I think the offense is playing better this year. I think the offense is better this year. And so the defense is probably playing better this year. But I just think they're a better team than they were at this time a year ago. The coaching staff was still trying to figure them out. Personnel, they were kind of all over the place. They're better now.
I think that's right. There were so many more unknowns all over the board last summer, and I don't fully agree with you about last year. I think we talked about it at the time. Like the arc of training camp was that the offense sort of got better as camp went on. Like the first week they looked pretty bad, but Jalen Hurts, it seemed to me, got a little bit better as camp went on. But he's definitely better in every way this summer than he was last summer. I think. I
mean, their starting receivers last year was Devontae Smith, Jalen Rager, and Greg Ward, basically, right? Like
Travis Fulgham was getting the first team reps for the first 10 days of camp.
Yeah, Zach Ertz was there, and like no one knew why he was there, right? So they were all of a sudden, you had this coach who wanted to play 11 personnel, but they were playing 12 personnel because Zach Ertz was there, and they were just waiting.
Devontae Smith was injured,
they were supposed to have this left tackle competition, but then Andre Dillard went down early in camp. They had veterans who they were peeling back from. It was just a different roster than they were now. So that's why I say, like, last summer's team going into the season, I was skeptical of how that offense would look. I'd be much more confident in the offense this year.
I think that's definitely right. And I agree that, I mean, it's hard to get past the fact that like the players are just better. The roster is better than it was last year, but I agree that the defense looks better than it did a year ago to some degree. All right. What else jumped out to you today from Quactus?
Well, this might sound on brand. I thought Josh Sweat had a good day. I thought Derek Barnett had a good day. Derek Barnett was in my notes a few times.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had I think at least one sack. He was good in one-on-ones as well. Coyote Awashika, my boy, was taking his second team left tackle reps, and I would say that he doesn't all the way look super comfortable there just yet. So
I don't think Coyote's a left tackle in the NFL. Do you?
Like a starting left tackle? Is he Jason Peters? Yeah, I'm not.
No, what's his position? What's best position? Would you say?
I think guard is his best position, but I think he's actually he looks okay. Like for a guy who's not playing, who didn't play that position last year, I think there's upside that he could have guard tackle versatility to be thrown in a pinch.
So a group that has actually impressed me a bit has been their depth defensive tackles. Marvin Wilson and Rennell Wren are two guys.
Even Kobe Smith, I feel, has a little bit of junk in his trunk and push behind it.
50, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a group that has,
I agree with you.
Yeah, they were in my
Those are
notes.
some
a few
big,
times.
strong, powerful men.
And if you recall, Marvin Wilson was a top recruit coming out of high school.
I do recall
went to Florida State.
it was in my story on the
Yes, the
what you need to
defensive
know about the
players.
defense.
Exactly.
Can you name
So,
the other guys who were top 20 recruits out of high school on the roster?
this wasn't in your story. I would have to look at the roster off the top of my head. AJ Brown, correct?
I'm going to tell you. Let me pull it up.
Let's see here. I believe AJ Brown, not Jordan Davis. I don't believe Nakobe Dean either. Although Nakobe Dean was a highly rated recruit. I would say I would not say Jalen Hurts. I would
AJ
not
Brown
say
is not correct.
AJ Brown's not correct. He was a huge recruit. Josh Sweat.
Correct. He
No
was
looking
number
at the
8 in his
chat, Zach.
class.
I'm not looking at the chat. I promise you, I'm not looking at the chat. Josh Sweat was like the number one player in the country.
Let me reset this for
I
the
believe
people who are
Oscar
not
Smith High
paying
School in
as
Chesapeake, Virginia.
close attention.
That's fair.
There are 5 current Eagles who were nationally ranked as top 20 players in the entire class, regardless of position, heading into college.
Based on
Marvin
the
Wilson is
24/7
one.
composite.
Josh Sweat is another.
Based on the 24/7 composite, is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. Miles Sanders might be up there.
Miles Sanders is incorrect.
Okay. you did a good. He was a 5-star running
I
back.
faked you out.
Yeah. I'm going across their offensive line. I mean, neither of their starting.
I will tell you that only one of the 3 was on the active roster last year. And only one is projected to make the team this year.
Okay. Was Deion Kane one of them?
Deion Kane was one of them. Very
Okay.
nice. Deion
Okay.
Kane, number 18 in the class.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the big school, players, right? Because a top guy is not going to Syracuse or Wake Forest.
Speak for yourself.
Maybe Maryland.
What about yourself?
I mean, Mike Lockesley's doing a good job there.
All right, I'll give them to you. The other 2 are Brandon Graham
Okay.
and Jacoby Stevens.
Yes. Okay, that's a good one. Okay. Good job.
There you go. Some people are curious about the Bose Camp crush. How are we leaning? Is anybody flashing? Not ready to go. Not ready to make a proclamation just yet. And Mario Goodrich, despite being stiff, has made some plays the past couple days. Josh Jobe is in the mix. Reed Blankenship, who I mentioned the other day, the undrafted safety from Middle Tennessee, not necessarily my type, but he continues to make me pay attention. He's in the mix as well. I would mention Ali Fayyad, the undrafted Sam pass rusher, who has had a few flashes here and there. He's definitely on my radar. None of the offensive linemen at the bottom of the roster look that great, look that good to me. While Bill Dunkel not doing it, Josh Sills not doing it. None of the down roster receivers particularly making it.
What did you make out of Britton Covey being the top punt returner?
Well, I was going to say, although this was Britton Covey's best day of camp thus far. And I also don't know that just because he went first as the punt returner doesn't mean to me that he's the top punt returner. But he was active in team drills and in one-on-ones more so and against better competition than he has done throughout camp thus far. So best day for Britton Covey so far. Maybe that Jeffrey Lurie bump is rubbing off after a couple days.
I mean, he has habits of a highly effective person. So
yeah, but you never told us what those habits are.
I mean,
you just gave us the connection.
I remember one of them is to be assertive.
Okay.
Right. So that was the one that jumps out. I mean, it's been a bit of time since I read the book.
You did read the book.
Yes, I did. I did read the book.
Okay.
I'm trying to think here what some other ones are.
Devin Allen has not been good. He's got a ways to go. It feels like the speed is not really showing up and creating space. He had a drop today. It's like one of the best routes that I've seen him run. He got open in one-on-ones and then dropped the ball. It's been tough sledding for him so far.
Though he got a nice shout out from Jalen Hurts yesterday.
It's true.
when Jalen Hurts was asked if he thought Quez Watkins was the fastest player in the NFL. And Jalen Hurts walking off the podium says, I think we have an Olympian on our team.
Right. So
Yeah.
there you
Good
go.
line.
Good line.
When will you declare the Camp Crush? I tried to look last year at what date, but I couldn't.
I think
find
last year it was early because Coyote made himself known pretty
Yeah.
early on to me. I think I have to do it. I was talking to the Birdsman, Brandon Lee Gouton, about this. I think I have to do it before the first preseason game.
Because then it might be obvious. And
Yeah, then it
not
becomes
really
then
fair.
there's more information. You got to be on the ground floor.
Yeah.
If push were come to shove right now, veterans who are like unlikely to make the roster are eligible as well. And Lance Lenore, who's 27 years old, has shown some good feet, but that's not going to be the answer. Something tells me right now, my heart, it's between Blankenship and Fayyad. Those guys are the two guys who are most intriguing to me at this point. Josiah Scott, by the way, second day in a row that he's been working for a few drills as the second team safety at the expense of Jaquaski Tart. Josiah Scott, who was the second team nickel last year, still takes some reps there, but that's the one position change that we've gotten to see over the course of camp. And so that's one that I'm paying attention to, Josiah Scott, as he pushes for a roster spot.
Mm-hmm. Like Josiah Scott.
The other thing that
do you think Dave Caldwell watches Josiah Scott practice with pride, or do you think?
Yeah,
that's his guy. He drafted him, right?
Yeah. And I know the nugget that you want to say about Josiah Scott. Let's hear it.
What's the nugget I want to say about Josiah Scott?
Come on. What's the one Josiah Scott nugget that's relevant to this football team and the coaching staff?
If you tell me,
all three of his brothers played football at Mount Union.
Yes, I did know that. Yes, of course.
Actually, on.
I was listening in the media room today when Nick Sirianni was on WIP, and he was he was getting a hard time from Angelo Cataldi about the lack of tackling in practice, right? And he said he never tackled in practice and with any of the teams he coached at, and in college, his teams, he spent 5 years at Mount Union. They were 67-2, and they never tackled to the ground. So I'll tell you what, if it works for Larry Karras, it works for him. Players, not plays.
Good deflection on the fact that you didn't pick up on the Josiah Scott nugget. You took it and ran with it.
Well, I didn't know. I mean, you're like the thing that
yeah. Come on, I feel like we should have been simpatico on that. I feel like you could have picked that up. I thought I was lobbing you a softball.
There's a lot of information about Josiah Scott I could share with you, right? I mean,
okay, give me another piece of information.
He went to Michigan State. I didn't know if that was something. He's from Ohio. I mean, he got drafted in the 4th round by the Jaguars by Dave Caldwell. He got
tested very well at the combine. Good athlete.
Eagles almost exact measurements to Avonte Maddox. The Eagles traded a draft pick for him.
True.
So
who else did they trade for him? They traded a draft pick and somebody and a player. Can you name that player?
This is amateur hour right now. Jamison Houston.
Okay. Oh, so this you can do. I'm not asking you who a guy whose brother is on the team.
But this April, when the Eagles, when Howie Roseman's doing his day 3 press conference, okay, do you think he's going to say, and during the 6th round, we put on Josiah Scott film, and this was our 6th round pick, right?
So just like last year, where they put on Kerry Vincent film and Tay Gowan film.
Yes.
I was going to say something and I had it.
So Taylor Harper, I see in the chat, gave the 7 habits. Okay.
Be proactive. Number 1. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. Okay. So Britton Covey is going to Jeffrey Lurie with the end in mind being this guy's going to retire my number 1 day. Number 3 is put first things first. Okay. So first things first, introduce yourself to the owner. Number 4, think win-win. So the
win-win.
The win-win here is either I'm introducing myself as someone who's going to make the team, or maybe there's a job in the front office for me if I don't make the team. Number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
I love that one. That's the truth.
Jeffrey, what is it like owning an NFL football team?
You see, I think you minimize Jeffrey Lurie to simply owning a football team. There's much more to Jeffrey Lurie than owning a football team.
Okay. What's it like to produce an Oscar-winning documentary? Number 6, synergize. What do you think that means in this context?
Do I think synergize in the context of him talking to Jeffrey Lurie, or in the context of?
Yeah, I mean, just sounds like corporate jargon to me. I'm not, give me what the actual advice here is.
That's working together with other people well, right? So,
okay. Number 7, sharpen the saw. The last one.
I like that.
That one rings to me a little bit like the kind of thing that you would have gets your punter's foot injured in your locker room because it sounds like, the old Jaguars keep chopping and the guy chopped his foot. Remember that? It's kind of thing like you put a saw in the locker room. We got to keep sharpening our saw. And then, somebody accidentally hurts themselves.
It makes me think of Sam Hinkie's resignation letter. When he says, if you give me X amount of days to cut down a tree, I'll spend X amount of days sharpening the axe. Right? So.
One of the worst pieces of writing that there's ever been.
I like that, actually. Why is that one of the worst pieces?
That's where the Moa culpa comes from.
Why is that one of the worst pieces of writing?
I mean, give me a break.
No,
give me a break with that thing. So self-involved.
I like perspective. And by the way, I appreciate him having the longest view in the room. It was that approach that helped me win Swooper Swordcasting last year. Okay, so.
Yeah, you're going to go move into your Munger building with no windows.
By the way, Charlie Munger was quoted very high in that letter. He was one of the first names mentioned.
Tells you all you need to know. There was one other depth. Oh no, this is what I was going to say. What I like about the offensive line, defensive line one-on-ones at this point, this is our third day of it now, is there is some built-in history and some context to the matchups. Like, for instance, poor Jack Driscoll has been getting just dominated all week by Brandon Graham when they go up 1-1. And it's probably what you would expect. Brandon Graham looks pretty good to me as he comes back from that Achilles, but you're talking about, a second team right tackle, but Brandon Graham's been having his way with him, and that continued today. But there were some bounce back performances, like the rep from the other day that had everybody oohing and eyeing, where Jordan Davis tossed Jack Anderson aside. Jack Anderson came back and had a good rep against Davis today, held him up. Davis actually did a little bit better against Jason Kelce than he has the past reps, pushed him back a little bit. Javon Hargrave and Landon Dickerson have had some good matchups, and Hargrave dusted him today. It was a pretty impressive rep and a bad one for Dickerson. Raven Clark was getting killed, as you would probably expect. And I think that was about the headlines that you should know. But it's fun to see the bigger picture, and it's why I talk about those first couple of days of camp. You can't get too high, too low. But now the fuller picture is forming of how these guys are doing.
I'm going to give you 3 players here. Rank most snaps this season.
Ooh, a Stork rank.
Snaps this season from most to least. Okay, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick.
That's a good question. I'm going to say Sweat 1, Reddick 2, Graham 3.
That's what I thought too. And I was speaking to someone on the sideline today who said he expects Brandon Graham to play the most among the DNs. And that really surprised me, that opinion. He just said Graham's the best one. And
that's interesting.
I don't know if I view it that way.
The case there is that Graham is the only one who can play on the line when they go with those 3-4 looks. He can be that 4-eye technique that everybody likes to talk about. Whereas Sweat and Reddick are going to have to rotate a little bit more. Now, Reddick is being paid the most, right? So you would think that they would want him on the field the most. But I think that for whatever reason, I lean Sweat. Although I guess he's got a bit of an injury history, but yeah. And also I think they're going to try to take it easy on Graham to some degree. Like, I would be surprised if he plays.
I'm also skeptical how much he plays on the interior. I mean, they have 4 guys who they're going to want to get playing time on those interior spots. If they're giving Graham, a decent amount of snaps inside, that surprises me.
Okay. All right. Let's take a little break. One more word from our sponsor. Come back, answer some questions from the chat. And did you want to do a mock press conference, Zach?
I think given the time, let's just take the questions from the chat. We can save the mock press conference for a different. Oh, we have. Look, we have.
Okay. I'm sorry, we're bothering you. Go ahead. There must be some Phillies news you got to get to.
Bo, I'm saying
Gregorius got pseudo released.
He did get released, but I'm saying it is August 4th right now. The first game is on September 11th. Okay, let's pace ourselves. We don't need to use all of the segments up on the second hour.
Use them, though. There's no need to save it. We'll always find something else.
We have reader comments. We will get to those after the break.
Peloton isn't just about bikes and treadmills. It is a team of instructors ready to motivate you 24/7. With Peloton, there are literally thousands of classes ranging from strength training to yoga to running and boxing, which means Peloton is the perfect non-judgmental space to experiment with new types of movement at a level and pace that feel good for you. But what if you're super busy? It doesn't matter if you have 5 minutes or an hour, if you're an early riser or a fan of the evening burn, there's a Peloton class that fits into your day. Maybe you're looking for a 10-minute upper body stretch between calls or a 30-minute run before bed. Peloton is where you'll find what works for you on your schedule wherever you happen to be, at home, at the gym, or even outdoors. Now, I'll tell you, I mostly use the bike, and what I like about the Peloton is, sometimes you feel like you want to choose your instructor based on like the kind of mood you're in, like who's gonna push you. Tune Day is a good motivator. I feel she gets me going, but sometimes you want to go for like what's gonna juke your stats the best. If you're feeling competitive, I feel like a Ben Aldis does that. A lot of climbing that really puts up those numbers. Sometimes you just want to hang out with somebody. You want to laugh, maybe do a Cody Rigsby. Whatever you're feeling like, Peloton offers it, and it's exactly right. Sometimes you feel like you want a 20-minute quick workout. Sometimes you want to go for an hour and really feel good about yourself. Whatever you are in the mood for, Peloton offers. So try the Peloton bike or tread risk-free for 30 days. Learn more at onepeloton.com. New members only. Terms apply. All right. Bo, Marissa, Zach, back on Birds with Friends. Zach, let's go to the Z-Berm pop culture corner. Let's think about. I meant to prepare this and I didn't. So let me just think of somebody.
Does Marissa have music for this? Oh,
you do?
She's the best, Marissa.
Ooh, I like this. Zach, do you know who Avicii is?
Yes. Chip Kelly used to play him at practice all the time.
Oh!
Yes. That
good
song.
Reason to know.
Yeah, well, because
I would not have guessed that you knew that.
Yeah, because when Chip Kelly brought music to practice, I would pull up Shazam on my phone and I would tweet out the playlist. Right.
This was a big deal in the beginning of the Chip Kelly era, knowing exactly what the
they
songs
used to have that
practice.
Song. Like, wake me up when it's all right.
Nice,
That's Avicii, right? Yeah. So I remember that really well from the Chip Kelly era.
Nicely done. All right, we go to number 2. Zach, do you know who Zelda is?
Something with video games, but I don't know who. Is it like a purple, like a purple princess or something?
Yeah, I would have let you just have it at it's a video game.
Okay.
I'm going to give you half credit there. Yeah, not a purple princess, but
Okay.
In Zach's defense, that's all I know too.
yeah,
As for
I wouldn't
video
expect
games.
you to know more. But I figured after Wario, we'd go back to the video game. Well, that
Okay.
was good. All right, hey, you're doing a good job today. Let's close it with, do you know who? How about? That's just a good area. How about Julie Brown?
The writer?
No.
Oh. There's a writer named Joey Brown, I believe.
I'm going for downtown Julie Brown. Do you know who that is?
No, but isn't there a White House reporter named Joey Brown? I don't know.
It might be a touch before time. I'm going for MTV VJ.
I do not know that either. So I did not know that either, Zach.
Were you a TRL guy, Zach?
What is
no.
TRL?
That was the show on MTV. That was on.
Marissa, you really don't know TRL?
No, I know. I was asking Zach.
Well, you're asking Zach. Oh,
yeah. No,
of course I know what TRL is. Although it was like a little early for me, but I had older cousins, so yeah.
That's what the girls were watching in middle school, right? Back when I was in middle school, right? When we were in middle school.
I mean, I don't think it had to be just girls.
Yeah.
Well, no, you'd be on AM and you know.
What was your screen name?
Philly Boy 6.
And his burner was ILVJLH.
No, but I mean, I was fairly transparent about that. I didn't need a burner for that one.
Topanga for life. Okay. All right, let's get to the chat's questions. Getting a bird in edgewise. Let us know if you have questions about what's been going on at camp. Zach,
we do have a question about who came up with Dick Rod, because apparently there's some controversy over that. So
yeah, I mean, I came up with it. I invented it. That's end of story. No.
And the chat saying Kemsky did?
Yes.
No.
Yes, that he says on his pod that he came up with Dick Rod.
No way.
We may have to get him on after
way.
this discussion.
Not a chance.
Does Richard Rodgers know about his nickname from you?
I mean, it's not a hard leap to make. It's
no, but I'm saying
I'm sure that someone in Green Bay called him Dick Rod at one point, but I feel pretty confident that I was.
I really don't know if that's the case.
I was first to the well with Dick Rod.
Well, do you know what Rich Hill's nickname is?
Dick Hill?
No.
Oh yes, Dick Mountain. Dick Mountain.
Dick Mountain.
That's right.
On the player nickname week that they had, he wore Mountain on the back of his jersey.
We got a comment in the chat that says Packers fans came up with it.
So it says no Packers fans came up with it.
Oh, I thought it was saying no Packers fans.
Yeah, no comment in there. Tough to read.
Oh. We'll ask that commenter to clarify if there should be a comma there.
Okay. We actually doesn't seem like we have a lot of questions.
So. No, here's one from Coleman Roush. I hope I'm saying the name correctly, Coleman. Any thoughts on how splitting the DN coaching off from DT has been going? So I'll talk about the idea because it makes sense, and hearing someone behind the scenes explain the way they're using their overhang players. Okay, so the overhang players are essentially the DN/outside linebackers. It's different than the way they're using their interior spots. So if you have X amount of time in meetings, if you're sitting in a meeting and Tracy Rocker is talking about, the 4-eye technique, right? Well, that doesn't apply to Hassan Reddick, or that doesn't apply. It shouldn't apply to, Josh Sweat. I mean, Josh Sweat was pretty honest. He hopes he's not playing that spot this year, right? So point being that I like it. I'm all about efficiency, right? And I think that sometimes there is validity to learning other spots, right? I mean, if I was a player, I'd be interested in hearing other meetings just to see the way they're coached, maybe something I can take to my game. But it is true. There's a finite amount of time, and if you can better allocate your time this way, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And they don't exclusively meet separately. I think there are times when they are all together. I'm curious, like if there is a guy like Brandon Graham who is going to be moonlighting as a 4-eye if he needs to spend time with Rocker, but I'm sure they have that taken care of. I mean, I do think we talked about it in the spring, but like it is just funny the dynamic of the arc of Brandon Graham's career. Now his position coach is the son of the guy who like almost ruined his career at the beginning in his mind. But he told the story of burying the hatchet with Jim Washburn with on a trip to Nashville with Derek Barnett. So
any special so this is from Khalif Steele, and I want to say, Khalif, I really appreciate you. We really appreciate you. I see you in the chat every week or every day, and I appreciate your
had some photoshops in the Ospreys.
Yeah, your loyal audience. Any special team takeaways, or do y'all not get a ton of looks at that in camp? So I'll be honest with you. They don't have as many special teams periods as, say, Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly had a lot of special teams periods.
Romeo Cornell at the Shrine Game.
And the time. Thank you, Khalif. For
the audio listeners, Khalif says he pronounced his name correctly.
Which is not often the case with me, as we know. The time that they spend, there aren't that many. It's not really coverage, right? And the other thing with special teams, and I'm sure if I had Michael Clay on, he would tell us this, that those coaches don't really know who their special teams guys are until the 53 is set, right? This time of year, they're working with different combinations, and they don't know who's going to be the core special teamer. So actually, one thing that we can sometimes do in preseason games is look at who the first team special teams players are, because those are guys that could be a good indication for back of roster spots. But there hasn't really been anything in camp that would suggest this guy is going to be good on special teams. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, Bo, but I was thinking about this today. They haven't had many field goal kicking periods in training camp this summer.
That's true.
Which is interesting.
That is true. And yeah, like you're saying, it's a hard thing to judge when it's not live, like maybe even more than other things, I feel. They did have their big special teams period today was on short field punting. They had some guys practicing downing the balls and Aaron Sipos punting, and that's the thing that he's actually good at. If you listen to our Puntalytics DFOP friends, Aaron Sipos was one of the better short field punters in the league last year, but was towards the very bottom in open field punting, and I think that's what matters more, open field punting. But Sipos did have some nice kicks today.
So Elliot Shore Parks, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here. I was talking to him on the sideline about this question during special teams period. If you were to field 100 punts, how many would you catch?
Are they open field or short? Just was a mixed subset.
Open field. Now, I was saying that it would probably need.
What did Elliot say? 100?
I forget what he said. He actually he was. I keep pointing out the potential difficulty in it based on the way the ball is coming in. And I was kind of, I mean, this isn't like an apples for apples thing. I was thinking about shagging flies, right? Like growing, I'm growing up. I mean, I was an outfielder starting in high school, in middle school, high school. And I would shag flies all day, right? And enjoyed it.
Flex?
No, I mean, that's a fun night. If any outfielder likes that, but obviously this. So I feel like the tracking, I'd be pretty good at, right? Like I think if you're not an outfielder, you wouldn't know that like your first step needs to be back sometimes, right? But that said, the way the ball comes in might be a challenge, and then the other part too is I got to admit I'd probably want to do it like 5 times over 20 days, as opposed to, I feel like after 100, it's going to start hurting your chest, right? Or it's going to start hurting your arms.
Well, are you fully suited up? Helmet and pads and everything?
I would imagine it's harder to catch with pads on. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but that's part of the deal, right?
Yeah. So I didn't get it. So I don't know the answer, but you.
What is your answer? What did you say?
Well, I first I was probably a little on the high end, and then I thought about these nuances, and I got to say, like, I've played catch a lot, but I don't think I've fielded punts before, so it's hard for me to say. I don't know. I actually have to field punts a few times to get a sense of how I would do it. Have you ever fielded a punt?
Yeah, but it's been a while, and not from an NFL punter. Like it's a,
No,
that's a,
from
that's
let's
different
say a jugs
animal.
machine,
Like,
but not the Green Bay Packers jugs machine. That's a good one. ATG 19534 says Bo would catch 12, Zach would catch 3, and defer the rest until next week. Compound interest, man.
Smart.
I like it.
Smart. Yeah, I think I'd catch between 91 and 93.
Not surprised you think that.
No, I would not. I don't know the answer. Somebody asked if Carson Strong threw some ducks again today, and he did. He
had one really bad pass.
It was a
that
really
like
bad throw
the
into
three
double
guys.
coverage,
Yeah,
just heaved up just a total duck of a prayer. And it should have been intercepted, but there were like two defenders there to bat it away. And Reed Sinnett made a nice play, scrambling to his left, and Carrick Wheatfall found his way open downfield, and Reed Sinnett made the completion and was very excited. He said good S. Carrick was very proud. If we're going just by how they've performed over the first 5 practices or 6 practices, Reed Sinnett has been way better than Carson Strong. Not even close.
I would agree, but I think the preseason will be a better indication there.
And I would guess that Reed Sinnett will be better there too. Carson Strong is not quite at Clapton Thorpen levels, but he's more Carson Week than anything else at this point.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it's important for them to carry 3 quarterbacks?
Let me ask you this. Do you give me any credit for identifying based off of just the rookie chopped that Carson Strong was not going to be good?
No, I don't give you any credit for that.
None?
No. I think sometimes you jump. You have to see more nuance.
No, but I think that was the whole shebang right there. That gave away everything. That's all we needed to know.
I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I feel like you're a bit of a cooking snob. Right? No, seriously.
But that wasn't a cooking thing. It was about about
garlic bread.
No, it was the force of. It wasn't about what he was choosing. It was about not having the force of personality as a quarterback, a leader of men, the guy in the huddle, to be able to convince a couple guys who are in their young 20s to serve some garlic bread. What are we doing? Where's the leadership?
This was Marissa on the chat, says takesman and a cooking snob. The takesman I meant as a compliment. The cooking snob, yes, I did. The cooking snob, I meant as it was intended.
You may not have meant it as you meant it. But
No, the cooking snob, I could see you if like in the kitchen being like, oh, you're using that spice right now? You're yeah.
I don't think that's entirely unfair.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think I wouldn't think of myself as a snob, but I wouldn't be rude about it. But I see where you're coming from. I can understand your perspective there.
I feel like if you cook dinner for somebody and they ask for ketchup, you'd be really insulted.
Well, if that were the case, I would be insulted every night because both of my children are dying for ketchup with every meal.
That's true. My children basically eat chicken nuggets with ketchup, right? Like ketchup is the meal. And then
Jane is like she's like taking fistfuls of ketchup, and she's like she'll dip something in the ketchup, eat the ketchup off, and not take a bite of the thing, and just keep doing that with the dip. Like, what are we doing, woman? And so I am a bit of a snob to her about that, probably.
But I'm sorry, but seriously, I mean this because it's been a week now. The takesman thing, I meant that you're someone who has opinions. That it was a compliment in that regard. I did not mean hot takes.
Listen, most of the time you can come clean, and I'm just joking with you. I remain offended by this, and I will continue to be offended.
All right, fair enough.
All right, no practice tomorrow, Zach. So you got your Friday off. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you going to be listening to like 8 podcasts? Are you going to be reading 4 books? What's on the docket?
Well, we have a meeting in the morning that is on my calendar. Okay. There is a story that I've been writing that I'm hoping to spend some time on. I am gonna have a little bit of time to myself, and then my wife and I are gonna go out to dinner tomorrow night. So that
Very
will be
nice.
our Friday.
Good way to spend a no practice Friday.
Yes,
Definitely.
thank you. Yep, thank you.
Emily deserves that.
Oh yes, she does deserve it, and she will let me know that she deserves it. So, yes.
How are you spending your no practice Friday, Bo?
Good question. I mean, I got some work to do. I used my day off yesterday to get some picture hanging done around the house. That was good. Long time coming. So that was productive. I felt like I really got something done. Tomorrow, I don't know. I think I might like to try to work a nap in there at some point. If I'm being
I'm not a napper. That's hard. It's hard to
Zach's
do.
face was great.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, a nap."
It's been a while
What's a
since it's the camp has been hectic that I haven't gotten on the old Peloton in a few days. I got to get back to that tomorrow. That's something I'm excited about. And I don't know. That's about it.
If anyone's looking for anything to read tomorrow, there's a story coming out on Art McNally, the first on-field official who's going into the Hall of Fame. And for our listeners, Art McNally is a Philadelphia native, right? I believe he went to Roman Catholic. He lived in Philly when he's been working, or during the time he was working in the NFL or the Philly area. So that is coming out tomorrow morning, and please check that out. Why are you laughing?
I look forward to reading it. It's late in the podcast, and I was thinking to myself that if you took the first two letters of his hometown and added it to his name, he would be Fart McNally.
That's what you thought about? Okay. That did not make the story, by the way. That did not make the story.
But it's true. You do acknowledge.
I suppose.
What do you guys?
Marissa,
what's your?
Marissa, what are you doing tomorrow?
In your house, Zach, with the kids? What's your euphemism for fart?
So it's interesting you ask that. My my in-laws will like they. I don't throw out my in-laws here, but they use the word toot, so they say toot.
Yeah.
I just say fart, and it's like a point of
interesting
because the kids. So
we say toot.
Okay, yeah.
We do
so
toot.
I think that I think now my in-laws listen to the podcast. Okay, so I think they want our kids to say toot, and then when I'm driving with the kids, when I drive them to school during school year, and there's a song on Spotify. It's the fart joke song, and we listen to that.
Oh, you listen to that?
Yes, and it's like they think that they're like really getting away with something bad listening to the song because they did. So in any event, that's when I know we're speaking too much here when I give that away. But yeah, we've listened to that song, and they think it's like the funniest thing. Anything with that word, they think is funny.
Well, it's hard to argue with that.
They're 5-3, so this is that's their wheelhouse.
And so, what about Emily? Does she side with her parents or does she side with her husband?
Usually her parents.
Hey, I blame her for that either.
I think that's a good way to end the show.
Wait, we don't want to do a Noah Syndergaard scouting report for tonight, real quick, Zach?
Oh, so big one, and I mean, big day for the Phillies. They cut Didi, as Bo says. They got Thor on the mound here. Big series coming up for the Phillies. So make sure you read all of Matt Gelb's coverage. Matt Gelb, of course, our athletic writer, and for the Phillies. And it's an exciting time right now. Nationals are not very good, so this should be a series the Phillies should take some wins.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening to what you were saying.
I said the Nationals are not very good. That's what I said.
I'm sorry, you were talking about Jason Worth or something?
No, yeah, I was. So, anyways, we will be back on Saturday, I believe, for an audio only pod, and we're talking this out here, but I imagine no pod on Sunday because the Eagles have a prime time practice, and then we'll be back next week for game week, preseason game against the New York Jets. Can't wait.
Maybe we get Zach on the pod.
Zach Rosenblatt. Yeah.
Yep. Our new Jets
New Jets writer, former Eagles writer.
Yeah.
Marissa works with a Zach, and a Zach.
All spelled differently.
And
I don't think I've made the mistake yet of spelling it, wrong for each person, but now I probably just jinxed myself. But yeah, had a great call with Zach Rosenblatt today for the Jets podcast. We're going to ramp back up, and I'm sure he would love to come on. I'm going to volunteer him to come on this podcast. So
can't wait.
I think early on in Birds with Friends, Zach's time, we had these Zach versus Zach discussion, the CH versus the CK. But how would you stork rank the three other ones that are not yours? So how ZACK, ZAC, and ZAK? How would you stork rank those?
Well, I mean, to me, there's like CH and there's everything else. Right? But
I would say that's how I would like. If you were saying someone's name is Zach, and I don't know how to spell it, that would be my initial way to spell it. ZACH.
Well, so the K, I don't like the K.
Oh yeah, what about Zach? Which is also pronounced Zach.
True.
But that's not, his name's not Zachary, right? So Zach is short for Zachary. Zachary spelled ZACHARY. Unless you spell it ZACKARY, I don't know why you would turn that H to a K, right? The shortened part of the name is ZACH. So I suppose I would rank ZAC. And then the
Zach
K's
Jackson,
thereafter.
Our Browns writer, is ZAC.
Because that's technically still part of this. Now, the technicality is some people spell Zachary, ZACKARY. I don't know many of them, but if you spell it that way, you can shorten it to ZACK.
Yeah, that's
number
Zach
two?
Rosenblatt.
So you're going, so Zach Kiefer is at the bottom of your list then?
He's ZAK.
ZAK.
Well, Zach Kiefer's not at the bottom of any of my lists. Zach Kiefer's outstanding. So, I mean, to be honest with you, when I read Zach Kiefer's writing, sometimes I wish I spelled mine ZAK. So, just to get some of that to rub off on me. So
that's good. All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. For Zach Berman and Elijah and Charlie Munger and Marissa, I'm Bo. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on Saturday. And as always, we love you.